Hello and welcome back. Today we'll be reviewing this. A few weeks ago, the kind people at Kruve sent me, well, this. And by that I mean I actually backed it on Kickstarter and paid for it and they shipped it over. To my knowledge, this isn't available on their website right now and was or is available to those who backed it at that point in time. This is Kruve's Propel Glass and is part of their EQ range if I'm not wrong. So today we will be comparing the Kruve Propel Glass to a regular double-walled glass as well as a reusable cup from Stoke. Now some of you coffee fanatics may already be familiar with Kruve from their sieve as well as their range of glassware. But to many of you, this may be something new and unfamiliar. Kruve is basically a company that does, well, coffee-related glasses, accessories, and aims to elevate the overall coffee drinking experience. Now, contrary to their previous glassware range, this is meant for espresso and only comes in one design. But similar to that, it is a double-walled glass with a single-walled rim. Now the enhanced headspace is meant to trap and circulate aromas, which is supposed to help involve the nose a bit better, according to them, and improve the overall taste, texture, smells of the drink inside. Given that we use our other senses to taste, such as touch, smell, as well as sight, the logic behind this glass seems to make sense. Now there are a few other design elements to this glass, but we will get to that later. So today we will be comparing two things. First, how does it affect the taste and overall feel of the drink inside in comparison to the other glasses? And secondly, how does the design fare overall? While the glass is meant for espresso, I don't have the means of making a good espresso at home, so we will be testing it with a few other drinks, from coffees to alcohols to soft drinks. So without further ado, let's begin with a few drinks. First, let's start off with some coffee. Now that was actually pretty interesting. Given that the coffee is the same in all three glasses, it is quite interesting to note that the taste as well as the texture is considerably different. There might be some confirmation bias going on, but I like to think otherwise. The texture, strangely enough, is actually a bit thicker in here as compared to the other two glasses, and has a more crisp overall flavor. It does concentrate the flavor a bit more, so you get to taste a bit more of the fruitiness as well as the overall darker roasty notes from the coffee. I think roasty is a word. Now this glass seems to have a slightly more airy, a slightly more open feel. It's not as crisp as this and definitely not as concentrated in terms of flavor and texture. Now this glass offers a slightly more robust flavor. It's a bit fruitier, definitely. A bit more viscous, strangely enough, as compared to the double-walled glass. But at the same time, the overall flavor seems a bit flat. You don't get the fruitiness, you don't get the roasted notes. It's just as if you're drinking cold brew. Now I don't have a detailed scoring system, but I will rank the glasses from favorite to least favorite based on the drinks that go into them. So for filter coffee, it'll probably be 1, 2, and 3. These two are pretty close, but there is a distinct difference in preference for me for, well, this glass. Let's move on to the next drink. Unsurprisingly, all three glasses had something different to offer. Well, the drink is a lot crisper here, and I'm not getting as much of the sour tartness from this particular glass. This glass just tastes like regular Pepsi, but strangely enough, it hits the top of the palate a bit more, if that makes sense. This is similar to this once again, but it's a lot sweeter here. Favorite, second favorite, third favorite. For the third drink, we'll be using a Prosecco, which is basically a sparkling wine. The reason we're using this is because I wanted to try out a wine in these glasses, but at the same time I don't actually have access to other wines. So we'll use the next closest thing I have on hand. Now similar to the Pepsi, the Propel glass seems to make the drink a bit crisper, a bit more astringent, a bit drier. If you know what Asahi tastes like, it's a bit like that. On the other hand, the Stoke makes it taste like regular sparkling wine. It's a bit sweeter, a bit more full-bodied, definitely not as dry as the Propel glass. And finally, this glass, the double-walled glass, does make the drink taste a bit flatter and definitely not as crisp as the Propel glass. So which is my favorite? This is a difficult one because it really depends on my mood as well as what I'm eating. If I'm having a sweeter, richer, more decadent dessert such as maybe a brownie, a sticky date pudding, a good cake, the Propel would probably be my choice because it makes the drink sharper and it helps cut through the overall richness of the dessert. If I'm enjoying the drink just as is, I might actually prefer this one because I'm someone who likes a refreshing drink, and this, although flatter, does let you appreciate the fruitiness of the drink a bit more. And as for the Stoke cup, if I'm going for, I guess, a larger amount of drink in one sitting, this would probably be it. So the Stoke would probably be the least favorite out of the three. These two come in as a tie because it really depends on my mood, what I was eating before it, what I intend to eat after it, or if I'm just drinking the drink as is. For the final drink, we will be using something a bit stronger than wine or Prosecco, which is a sort of liquor. It's called limoncello, if you guys have heard of it. If not, it's basically a lemon liqueur made from vodka and sugar. In the case of a stronger liqueur, I must say that the Propel glass actually accentuates the flavor a bit too much. Think of it as drinking a good Hibiki whiskey versus a Jack Daniels. The Propel glass does actually concentrate the flavors a bit too much. It's a bit too sweet and a bit too harsh. It's very rough, which is not what it's supposed to be. The double walled glass, on the other hand, offers a much smoother, much more pleasant overall experience. Lastly, while the Stoke glass does make the drink a bit sweeter, you do end up losing the overall fruitiness of the drink. So out of the three, I would probably rank it in this fashion, with the double walled glass being my favorite and the Propel being my least favorite. Now let's move on to the overall look, feel, and I guess design of this glass. As with their other products, Kruve has put in quite a bit of work into the overall design of the glass. Now it's meant for espresso, so the various design elements are meant to enhance the overall drinking experience and to create a more uniform taste when it comes to drinking the drink. Inside the glass, there is a convex base as well as three fin-looking thingies. As mentioned earlier, these help create a more uniform drinking experience when it comes to espresso. Now you may be wondering what that actually means. When pulling a shot of espresso, the first liquids that come out tend to be a lot more concentrated when it comes to the overall flavor. As the shot progresses, the concentration of the liquid tends to taper off. So the resulting shot of espresso is actually layered. Think of it as a B52 shot if you know what that is. Because of this layered effect, the first sip of espresso tends to be a bit more watered down, a bit more flat and lacking in overall flavor. But as you get to the bottom bits, it tends to be a bit too concentrated. And that's why many experts believe you should actually mix your espresso before drinking it. Some people say that swirling does not work because it doesn't really actually mix the layers of espresso. But due to the fins in this glass, swirling actually works. It helps break up the overall flow and mix up the different layers, giving you a, well, more uniform experience. Now the choice of drinking receptacles is something that's often overlooked. We are often served a glass or a cup and we just drink from it without a second thought. But if you look at things a bit closer, you will see there is quite a bit of importance when it comes to your cup. Let's take whiskey for example. If someone were to pour you a glass of whiskey into a shot glass, chances are you're going to take it as a single shot. But if someone were to pour the same whiskey into a whiskey glass, there's a higher likelihood of you swirling it, sniffing it, and then sipping it. The same applies for coffee and espresso. If you were to be served a shot of espresso in an espresso glass, there's a higher likelihood of you just downing it in one shot. However, by serving it in a glass such as this, there's a higher likelihood of you swirling it, sniffing it, and then sipping on it. On top of that, the way the glass is designed, it's actually quite comfortable to hold. It's very similar to that of a whiskey glass. Having used the glass for quite some time now, I must admit that I found myself randomly swirling drinks in it, which is kind of fun actually. So the question is the Propel glass something for you? What I'll say is it really depends on the individual. I use someone who is really into coffee, someone who really likes espresso and wants to take the overall experience to the next level. I'm not saying the glass is better than other glasses, but it does give you the opportunity to experiment with different drinks inside, different kinds of espressos, different coffee types, different beverages, and to maybe fine-tune your overall craft. However, if this is not part of your usual lifestyle, not part of your interests, then maybe this glass is not for you. Because you can get other interesting looking glasses that can be conversation pieces elsewhere. That being said, I do actually really enjoy using the glass, so that's that. But that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, hit that like button, consider subscribing, share it with all your friends, and let me know in the comments down below. Would you buy such a glass? Is this glass too pretentious? Would you have a use for something like this? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. So, well, I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I will see you in the next video.